Hey everyone, before we jump in, just a quick but really important reminder. This whole breakdown is for educational purposes only. This is not in any way financial advice.
Okay, let's get right into it. Today, we're doing a deep dive on the PLAZM protocol, which, you've probably noticed, is going through a pretty intense period of pressure right now. And we're going to explore a really counterintuitive idea, that the very thing causing all this stress, this extended token unlock window, isn't a bug. It's actually a core feature of its design.
And let's be real, the pressure is definitely on. I mean, just look at the broader market. The crypto fear and greed index is sitting at 25, which is squarely in extreme fear territory. So if you're feeling that anxiety, trust me, you are not alone. It's a tough market out there.
But that brings us to the big question, the whole reason we're here. What if this protocol was specifically engineered to not just survive these moments of extreme fear, but to actually use them to get stronger?
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dissect the storm itself. Then, we'll look at the protocol's core yield engine. After that, we'll unpack how all this pressure actually leads to supply compression, check out the human and automated defenses, look at a real-time scorecard, and then talk about how this whole thing is designed to make the protocol emerge stronger on the other side.
All right, first up, let's define what we're actually talking about. What is this storm? What's causing all this pressure?
The pressure is coming from a pre-scheduled extended token release. This timeline here shows you exactly what that storm window looks like. It all kicked off back on day 78, and it's set to run all the way through day 117. We're right here on day 84. Now, this sustained release of new tokens creates a ton of prolonged sell pressure. For most crypto projects, honestly, this would be a death sentence, but Plasm is built differently.
And that difference is a principle called anti-fragility. You've probably heard the term, but it's more than just being tough or resilient. An anti-fragile system doesn't just put up with stress, it actively gets better because of it. It uses shocks, it uses volatility as fuel to improve its own structure. And that is the absolute core design philosophy of Plasm.
So how does that actually work? Well, it all starts with the heart of the protocol, a yield engine that, frankly, could not care less what the price of the Plasm token is.
What you're looking at here is a perpetual loop that is completely disconnected from market fear or greed. So the protocol's vault, which has over 131 ETH in it right now, provides liquidity for what are called DEX-fi bonds. You can think of these as pools of capital that help facilitate trading on big exchanges. Every time a trade happens using that liquidity, the bonds earn fees. Those fees then flow into the buy, burn, build pools, which then automatically buy and burn Plasm tokens off the market. This machine just runs 24/7, no matter what.
And listen, this isn't just a theory on a whiteboard. So far, over $53,000 in real, cumulative profits have been generated by this engine. It's a constant, predictable source of value flowing into the ecosystem, totally independent of the storm that's raging outside.
Okay, this next part, this is where it gets really interesting and kind of mind-bending. The price pressure from the unlocks, it actually helps the protocol achieve one of its biggest goals, compressing the token supply.
Here's the key. The yield engine makes money in assets like ETH and USDC. So let's say it makes $100 for the buy and burn pools. If the price of Plasm is at 6 cents, that $100 buys and permanently destroys about 1,600 tokens. But if all that market pressure pushes the price down to 3 cents, that same $100 now burns double the amount, over 3,300 tokens. The lower the price goes, the faster the supply gets vaporized. And you can see this happening in real time. To date, over 126,000 Plasm tokens are gone forever. That's 3% of the total supply, permanently removed from circulation. And during this period of stress, that number is actually climbing faster than it would in a bull market.
So we've got a system that's designed to use price pressure to its advantage. But what about the people? And what about the automated defenses that are holding the line right now?
First, let's talk about the human element. Even with all this extreme fear, a pretty remarkable 31% of the entire Plasm supply is still staked. That's 1.24 million tokens locked up by people who get the long-term mechanics. They know that time is their best friend here because it lets them accumulate protocol shares exponentially while everyone else is panicking. And then you have the automated defenses, the systemic part. Right now, there is a $70,000 war chest actively fighting back across 4 different buy, burn, build pools. And these aren't just sitting on the sidelines. They are deploying capital every single day, some at a rate of 6% daily, creating constant automated buy pressure. This system is basically a shock absorber, just methodically buying up the tokens that are being sold from the unlocks.
All right, let's pull it all together and check the scorecard. How is the system actually performing against its own anti-fragile design right now, today, on day 84? Let's just run down the checklist. Is the price-independent yield engine running? Yes, check. Are the token burns accelerating because of the lower price? Absolutely, check. Is staking conviction holding strong? At 31%? You bet, that's a check. Are the defense pools active and substantial? With 70 grand deploying daily? That's a big check. And most importantly, is this storm window actually defined? Do we have a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, day 118. Check. Every single anti-fragile mechanic is firing on all cylinders exactly as designed.
So, what does this all mean for the future? This is all about the long view. What does the protocol look like when this is all over?
When this storm finally passes on day 118, the Plasm Protocol is designed to be in a much stronger position. It's going to have a dramatically smaller circulating supply. Ownership will be concentrated in the hands of the long-term believers who staked right through the fear. It's going to have battle-tested defense mechanisms that we know work under extreme stress. And right at the center of it all, that perpetual yield engine will still be humming along, ready to support a leaner, meaner protocol.
So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The storm is a feature, not a bug. The pressure is the polish that gets rid of the weak hands and compresses the supply. Plasm was built for exactly this moment. Stay informed, stay patient, and watch the mechanics work. And to wrap up, please take a moment to read this full risk disclosure. This content was for educational purposes. Crypto is inherently risky, and you could lose all of your capital. Plasm is an experimental protocol, and calling it anti-fragile just describes its design intent. It is not a guarantee of any outcome. Always do your own research and talk to a professional before making any financial decisions. Thanks for watching.